from Hollywood, I'm Martin Grove, welcoming you to our Screendollars podcast, Boxoffice Autopsy. Right now, we'll look at the movie marketplace and analyze how things are going and where they're going, sharing some opinions from my perspective after decades of talking about Hollywood on CNN Entertainment Tonight and as a Hollywood Reporter columnist. It was another movie-going recovery weekend as WBDC's The Batman held strongly in first place with $66 million, down just 51% in weekend two. That hold looks very encouraging compared to the second weekend slides for pre-pandemic Cape Crusader episodes. The Dark Knight fell 53% in July 2008. The Dark Knight Rises dropped 61% in July 2012. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice skidded 69% in March 2016, and Justice League slid 56% in November 2017. In its first 2 weeks, The Batman's done $238.5 million domestic, plus $224.7 million internationally, for a worldwide cum of just over $463 million. That total's even more impressive when you remember it's a picture that runs nearly 3 hours and loses a showing daily. Its strong domestic hold shows it's a must-see movie, but also that The Batman hit theaters with perfect timing, just as Omicron's running out of steam and states are relaxing or ending indoor restrictions. For many people, a visit to the movies right now lets them feel things are finally coming back to normal. This feel-good connection to moviegoing should continue to benefit films in the spring pipeline and should give exhibitors a string of summer hits. One film that won't benefit as theatrical moviegoing surges is Disney and Pixar's PG animated comedy adventure Turning Red, which was to have opened this weekend but instead was repositioned as a Disney Plus streaming event. Exhibitors and Hollywood handicappers expected Turning Red to generate lots of box office green as families resumed moviegoing. Had Turning turned up in theaters as planned this weekend, it would have likely opened a strong second to The Batman. You can tell just from listening to this quick preview that Pixar hasn't lost its magical touch.
The impact that Pixar has on all humans. It's really kind of amazing to think about.
I've been watching Pixar my entire life.
Within this sort of treasure chest you put memories of your childhood in, Pixar films loom pretty large.
To this day. They're incredibly entertaining and deep, and there's so much meaning behind them. You know, watching Turning Red.
Besties, assemble!
It really resonated with me.
This is grade 8. I don't got time to mess around.
The challenge we always set for ourselves at Pixar is we want it to feel like our films are grounded in stories that are specific and unique, but also universal.
What's going on, honey?
I'm a gross red monster!
The goal is to have it be based in personal experience, and I don't know if Domi has come clean, but it's a little autobiographical, this story.
The inspiration behind Turning Red comes from my own life growing up as a dorky Chinese-Canadian girl in Toronto, Canada. It really taps into that awkward, cringy time in all of our lives when we were 13, when everything in our lives were changing.
Whoa, what is that? Some of the craziest moments in the film are based on things that have happened to Domi.
You reported for trespassing! Mommy!
except, of course, for the giant furry red panda.
I think Turning Red is universal. It's about finding your own voice and then accepting your own voice.
We're bringing something new and different while also keeping with the Pixar tradition of great stories and great characters.
My whole life I've been perfect little May. But maybe I like this new me.
Sending Turning exclusively to Disney Plus appears to have been a necessary move for Disney, given Wall Street's unending pressure for streamers to pile on subscriber growth. High-profile Pixar titles playing at no additional fee are a magnet to bring families to Disney Plus and keep them there. Previous pandemic-era Pixars like Soul and Luca did that, and Turning should continue the tradition. Exhibitors are hoping Disney's next Pixar title, Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear story, stays on its June 17th theatrical-only release date. An indication that other studios think it will is that there aren't any other wide releases currently on the calendar for June 17th. That's the weekend after Universal and Amblin's Jurassic World Dominion opens June 10th. And the family appeal Lightyear will be perfect counter-programming to those scary dinos. The Cape Crusader won't have to fend off any heavyweight competitors next weekend, but March 25th will bring cinemas some new blood that's looking good on tracking reports. That's Paramount's PG-13 action-adventure, The Lost City, powered by the star power of Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum, Daniel Radcliffe, and Brad Pitt. Here's a quick look at why this jungle-set tale about a woman who writes romance novels and the guy who models for their cover photos is a fun film.
Okay, don't panic.
What do you mean don't panic?
Just don't panic.
No, don't stop saying panic.
Okay,
I'm panicking now.
You have something on your back.
Ah, no!
Stop,
What is that?
screaming,
What is that? Do you have any on you?
No.
Why don't you have any on you?
Day 2 of the movie, Channing Tatum walks into this jungle area. We have him take his clothes off, and we covered his back and butt in leeches. And this is day 2.
Walking to set with a bunch of leeches super glued to my butt. And not having met everybody and just kind of being like, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to be butt naked. My name's Chan today. This is just what it is.
Rip like a bandit. Don't make that sound. I feel so many.
Oh, holy mother of God!
Why are you praying?
And then not only that, but to have Sandra Bullock have like a 2-page monologue with a certain part of my body.
He was completely naked with a sock protecting the front area.
You have to really like the person and feel safe with them.
I need to check your front.
Okay.
There was no weirdness. Like you would think that there would be weirdness, but because he was so chill about it, he dropped everything and I spoke to it.
There is room for leeches. There is available terrain, but they have not explored this beige runway. I'll do that again.
It's a hell of a day 2, let me just say that.
Lost is finding great definite interest on the tracking 2 weeks out, with its highest definite interest scores from under 25 females, 14 points over norm. Its next best demo is over 25 females, who are 9 points over norm. Lost will arrive in the Batman's 4th weekend, which is good timing to find its audience. Looking ahead, tentpoles are planted in the multiplex sands from now through 2023 and beyond. This week saw Warner Brothers reposition a number of its event films that were delayed during production by COVID issues, including October 21 for Warner Brothers and DC's Black Adam starring Dwayne Johnson, WBDC and New Line's Shazam! Fury of the Gods starring Zachary Levi will materialize December 16th. Putting it opposite Disney and 20th Century's Avatar 2 from James Cameron. WBDC's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom starring Jason Momoa hits theaters March 17th, 2023. and WBDC's The Flash, starring both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne, will surface June 23, 2023. Right now, it's time to focus our Oscar Outlook spotlight on the latest awards-giving news. Saturday night brought a win at the Directors Guild Awards for Jane Campion, director of Netflix's The Power of the Dog. Oscar and the DGA have failed to match on Best Directing only 8 times in 73 years. So Campion's DGA win makes her the front-runner in Oscar's Best Directing race. And just as Academy members are about to vote from March 17th through the 22nd, this was Campion's first DGA win. She was previously a DGA nominee in 1994 for The Piano, whose 8 Oscar noms included Best Picture and Directing. Saturday night also brought the Annie Awards, celebrating the best work in animation. Netflix's feature film win for The Mitchells vs. the Machines from Sony Pictures Animation should give it a big boost in the Oscar race. Disney Animation's Encanto, which some Hollywood handicappers expected to win, will be the Mitchells' principal Oscar competition. Sunday brought 2 more last-minute awards that also will impact on Oscar voting, London's BAFTAs and the Critics' Choice Awards in LA. Those votes won't be known until after we've recorded today's Box Office Autopsy, but the winners will definitely make the most of winning. The BAFTAs have for many years been regarded as the awards season's 3rd most important prize, after the Oscars and the Golden Globes. BAFTAs, however, have gained ground, moving up to 2nd place now that the Globes are on ice with no NBC telecast, while the Hollywood Foreign Press Association grapples with diversity and ethics crises. Things have been quiet lately at the HFPA, but a new 1-2 punch just put the besieged Golden Globes givers back in the headlines. The first slug came as 2 members of Congress petitioned the IRS to investigate HFPA's enviable tax-exempt status. Representative Joyce Beatty, Democrat of Ohio, and Representative Brenda Lawrence, Democrat of Michigan, cited ongoing media reports about HFPA's, and I quote, seemingly corrupt and unacceptable deal-making patterns, unquote, raising doubts as to whether it's, quote, meeting its IRS Section 501c3 demands, unquote. In its reply, the HFPA said, quote, their letter is taken largely from previous news accounts that have misrepresented or omitted the significant and thorough progress made, unquote, in membership diversity and the, quote, implementation of new ethics and conduct rules, unquote, at least for now. Backed up with pandemic-era work, as the IRS is understood to be, it's likely to take time for any conclusions to be reached. Nonetheless, no one ever feels good waiting for an IRS response. As for punch number 2, that inside blow came with the departure of Sunshine Sachs, HFPA's A-list PR consultants since 2011. Specifics are unknown, but Hollywood Buzz claims the split was no surprise. Some 100 other top publicity firms have stopped working with HFPA, so it could be difficult replacing Sunshine, which reps top celebs and the Motion Picture Academy. It's anyone's guess how things will turn out in this unexciting and pretty much wide-open awards season. The Academy's preferential voting system works to the advantage of films that are widely liked versus really loved by a small voting bloc. Films that are relevant to today's world can wind up in that widely liked category, with one such possibility being Netflix's satirical sci-fi drama Don't Look Up, which leaves us worrying about climate change and repelled by the things politicians will do to stay in power. Here's Leonardo DiCaprio talking about Don't, where as a low-profile astronomer, he's trying to convince U.S. President Meryl Streep that a comet is about to destroy Earth.
It was incredibly timely. I mean, especially when the scientific community has given us a 9-year window to make this transition as far as the climate crisis is concerned, and how Adam wrote this script before COVID hit, which was a whole new level of the denial of the scientific community. This movie, I think all of us felt not only the fact that we wanted to work together, work with Adam, but at this specific turning point in history, there was nothing more important to do than to sort of recreate the narrative. Start to take a mirror to ourselves and society and media and politics, and realize that the consequences of what will happen if we continue to not act on this issue. So I keep saying this, but I looked at it as an incredible gift, and one that we'll all look back on, and feel completely connected to as far as its message.
Another Best Picture contender that's relevant to our troubled times is Disney and 20th Century's musical drama West Side Story. Its director, Steven Spielberg, has pointed out that divisions between people are more of an issue today than when West Side Story with its rival Jets and Sharks gangs first opened on Broadway in 1957. Spielberg's a Best Directing nominee, and Ariana DeBose, who plays Anita, is favored to win Supporting Actress after taking home the comparable SAG Award. Let's listen to the film's scoring session. The classic score, unfortunately, wasn't eligible for an Oscar Best Original Score nomination. That's how things look in Hollywood right now. But we'll have new developments to talk about next week on Box Office Autopsy, including the Batman's third weekend and the latest on how Academy members may be voting. So please join us again then, and thanks very much for listening. Time now for our film flashback look at what was happening in Hollywood right around now, way back then. Let's set today's time travel dial for March 14th, 1972. Peter Bogdanovich would be remembered today for directing The Godfather, had Paramount Pictures had its way 50-some years ago. The studio wanted Bogdanovich to direct the crime family drama that premiered in New York March 14, 1972, and was based on Mario Puzo's best-selling novel. But Bogdanovich, who'd made The Last Picture Show, passed for lack of interest in the mafia. Paramount's offer to direct was one that many top directors could and did refuse, including Richard Brooks, Sidney J. Furie, Otto Preminger, Franklin J. Schaffner, and François Truffaut. Sergio Leone, who also passed, had second thoughts later and made the 1984 gangster epic Once Upon a Time in America, which died at the box office. Production chief Robert Evans studied earlier Paramount gangster films, finding most didn't do well and weren't written or directed by Italian Americans. On hiring Francis Ford Coppola, he said he wanted to smell the spaghetti. Coppola wasn't a well-known director then. His 1966 feature debut, You're a Big Boy Now, was well received, but he was writing and producing. He'd co-written Patton, winning the Best Original Screenplay Oscar, and he'd executive produced George Lucas's first feature, THX 1138. Paramount wanted Godfather to be a low-budget gangster film with a contemporary setting, but Coppola rejected Puzo's screenplay with that concept. That was one of many disputes between Coppola and Paramount. The studio tried hard to dump Coppola, charging he couldn't stay on schedule and wasted money. Actually, Coppola brought Godfather in ahead of schedule and under budget. Paramount wanted to hire Elia Kazan, an Oscar winner in 1955 for directing On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. They thought Kazan would work well with the famously difficult Brando. But Brando said he'd quit if Coppola left. Paramount didn't know Brando was through with Kazan, who'd named names during his 1952 Hollywood blacklist testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Orson Welles wanted to play Don Vito Corleone, even promising to knock off many pounds. But Coppola had Brando in mind from the start and didn't feel Welles was right for the role. Brando, of course, won the Best Actor Oscar. He skipped the event, sending Sachin Littlefeather to accept if he was the winner. When Roger Moore and Liv Ullmann opened the sealed envelope, Littlefeather came up, refused the statuette, and charged Hollywood with mistreating Native Americans for years. And that's it for today's podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with another Box Office Autopsy next week. In Hollywood for Screendollars, I'm Martin Grove.